Gentlemen, ladies, let's think and chill together. You may have seen recently the teardown and system build in the Jonsbo Z20 that I've done. For a simple micro ATX case, it does a lot well, and has some polarizing elements too. On the surface, the design of the Z20 looks mundane, but look deeper and you'll find some interesting elements. There are very nice cable management features above and below the motherboard. There's a tiny removable section to help you install large GPUs, and there's even a really solid handle. The construction of the case shines too. The outer body is made of very thick steel, which adds weight, sure, but also rigidity to the case. It feels sturdy. The fit of the front panel connectors is outstanding too. So are the panels, but I'll get back to those panels in a minute. Another highlight of the case is the accessory box, which includes an SFX power adapter for small power supplies, a box of screws, and a lot of other parts. Everything is well packaged and the screws are organized and labeled. Nice. Let's get back to those panels actually, because they were one of the polarizing points. Some people really don't like the old-fashioned way that they're attached to the case, with these protruding thumb screws. Yes, it is an older way of doing things, and whether you like the look is a matter of taste that no one can argue with. So if those are your complaints, you're welcome to them. Aside from being points that focus pressure on my wood table when I lay the case down, they don't really bother me. In theory, they may provide some points of protection for the glass when carrying the case around, but I'm sure we can all discover other ways to break the glass pretty easily. Another point I've heard against this case is that it doesn't have the flexibility of other cases like the Sama IM01 Pro, and this is true. If you're the type to regularly configure your system, or if you have very specific needs for the system you're trying to build, and this case doesn't meet it, but another case does, great, go for the other one. That's a pretty nice case. I liked that one a lot. This case, this Jonsbo Z20, just may not be suited for you. This case only features basic configuration options and not very many options at all, really. I didn't do full thermal testing in this case, by the way, because of the parts I chose to build in it. It's very hard in a modern case, except for maybe the Jonsbo C6, to saturate the build with heat using an 8500G and a 4060 Ti. That said, I did have about 175 watt workload running on the GPU when I fired up the CPU stress test. This is not scientific, but I couldn't even hear the CPU over the fan that was running 20 feet away that's trying to keep me cool, and over the mouse clicks that were definitely louder than the computer itself. That's pretty nice. A heftier build, which this case can definitely fit, will also be definitely tougher to cool. But I fit 3 fans in the top, and even with the capture card and hard drive in the bottom, there was still room for another one of those 120mm T30 fans down there. I didn't install it, but I would definitely consider it if I was putting more powerful hardware in this case. A complaint that I haven't heard from anyone but me, really, is that the price is a little too high. Even though I really enjoyed the case, you can often pick up that same Sama IM01 Pro I mentioned for about 2/3 of the price. At the time I'm recording this, it was about $65 for the Sama IM01 Pro on Newegg, and this Jonsbo Z20 was $99. The price is probably the best argument against this case, because it does so much of its job well, it's just priced higher than most other micro ATX cases. I recorded all the audio up until this point, and then had to stop and think some more. Now that a day has passed, I think I can articulate some final thoughts for the Jonsbo Z20. I have no real complaints about the build quality, features, or styling of this case, but I'll admit there's some room for disagreement on those and matters of taste in general. There were a few places where screws were easy to cross-thread, for instance, but I think that's pretty minor. The part that's been hard for me to describe was why I felt so refreshed about building the PC after I finished the build video. Part of that refreshment can be credited to the case itself, but not all of it. The Z20 had adjustment options for placement of parts, but doesn't go overboard. Once you select compatible parts, especially if you use an SFX power supply and non-RGB daisy-chainable fans, as long as the cables are long enough for both, the case itself directs your build in a way that keeps decision fatigue to a minimum. When you're finished, you have the solid feeling, clean looking desktop and experience refreshment and enjoyment instead of relief that it's done. At least, that's my experience with my build. I like the case, and my only regret is that I didn't buy one of the many color options that's available. I may list this one for sale and buy the pink and white or orange and white version instead, because this case seems to make a great option for my capture PC. Thanks for watching. I have the Lee & Lee A3 coming up next. It's already bought and sitting here waiting, ready to go. And I bought another ITX case that's been officially sanctioned by the US government now, so I'm not even sure that video is going to come out, but we'll see. If you're wondering where that Tower 300 video is that I kept talking about, since Thermaltake announced the Tower 250 and Tower 600, I thought it best to wait. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks again.